Okay, let's call her Gariana Ande. Okay, and that's a random picture I took off the net. This artist does not exist. Okay, the demographic of this artist is age 18 to 30, your typical top 40 listener for now. She has very strong vocals. She can sing anything, and she'll basically like do it all. And her market positioning, at least on the marketing and PR team has informed us that they want to place her somewhere between Ariana Grande and Beyonce. Okay, so these are the only parameters we have now. We'll add more conditions later as we go through the exercise and see what happens. Okay, next slide first. Next slide. Back, yeah. Next slide. Okay, so we have two choices. We have shortlisted two songs for Gariana to be her next single. These are just two random demos that I took out of my box this morning, out of like 100 over demos, but that I thought might be suitable for her. So let's play both of them and see what you guys think. So the first one's Head of the Class.
Coming from a girl like me, I'll let you in on a secret you really need to know. I'll let you peek at the test, but keep it on the low. I know you're shy, follow my lead. You want to earn your love.
Okay, so we are all A&Rs now. Think about all the things we talked about earlier, about simplicity, context, all of that good stuff.
This class is in session. Did you learn your lesson? Did ya? Let me have your attention. Okay. This class is in session. Did you learn your lesson? Did ya? If you wanna win, baby, do the math. You treat me like a queen. You'll be the head of the class. You'll even come in first. For your daily. So baby, show your work. You'll be the head of the class.
Okay, so that was Head of the Class. You treat me like a queen, you'll be the head of the class. So, not me, Gariana. So next up, Headlock.
Mama told me to be careful with them boys, but I'm addicted, it's not like I have a choice. See, I'm a junkie and I'm feeling for love. Yeah. Ooh, I got the shakes, the fever, but this ain't no flu. Oh, street. But all I know is when you make me love to me. Sparks fly in a surprise. Do you know what it feels like? Love, turning me out. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, can I get a witness? I wanna testify. It's taking over. Love's got me in a headlock. It's got me feeling worked up. Got me sprung and I don't care what. What I'm saying, I don't give a fuck. Got me flying in a free fall. Got me bumping up a fearful. Give me what you like, la 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 la. Love's got me in a headlock. It's got me feeling worked up. Got me sprung and I don't care what. What I'm saying, I don't give a fuck. Got me flying in a free fall. Got me bumping up a fearful. Give me what you like, la 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 la. Give me what you like, what you
Okay, so that was Headlock. So we have two choices. Okay, never mind. That song is taken. Okay, let's stay on this slide. So, which should be the single and why? Okay, let's go back to Gariana. Let's flash her vital statistics. Okay, so this is Gariana. You have heard both Head of the Class and Headlock. Let's do a quick straw poll. Those that think Head of the Class should be her first single, given all this information so far, nothing else, raise your hand. Okay, those of you who think Headlock should be her single, raise your hands. Okay, so, great. So that's an informal poll. Now let's add more conditions. Gariana is 15 years old. 15 years old. Okay, now, how many of you think that Head of the Class should be her first single? A few more hands. How many of you think Headlock should still be her first single? Okay, so now about equal. So notice how one simple parameter changes a lot. Okay, let's say Gariana Ande has just broken up with a dude. Let's call him Starry Hiles. Starry Hiles. She's just broken up with that dude. She's from some douchey boy band called Five Directions. Wait, back. No, okay, so, how many of you think Headlock should be her first single now? And how many of you think that Head of the Class should be her first single? Or how many of you think that both songs are inappropriate and she should write another song about her breakup with Starry Hiles? Okay, see, that's marketing. Okay, alright. So let's dive in deeper. So based on everything that Roland said just now about A&Ring a record, okay, so let's dissect both. So for those of you that think that Head of the Class should be Gariana's first single, given all these conditions, can I get someone to say why? Okay, let's say she's not 15. Let's say she's 20 and very cute and sexy and can sing her face off. Okay, just these conditions. So Head of the Class, why should it be the single? More memorable. Okay. What about it is more memorable? Okay. So you feel like the structure of that song is a lot clearer than Headlock. Okay. Head of the Class. Any more supporters and why? Okay. Let's bring back the age condition. She's 15 years old. She's not even out of high school yet. She just entered high school. Why should head of the class be her single? Context. What about context? She's in school, okay? And Headlock is a little bit raunchy, right? Headlock is your love's got me in a headlock, yeah. So probably not. So all these conditions factor. Okay, it looks like most of the room is leaning towards Headlock though. Let's go on to Headlock. So of those of you that said the Headlock should have been Gariana's first single, why? Easy. So Kevin says it's easy. What's easy about it? It's sleazy. So it's a little it's flirty, right? It's flirty. So flirty is good, yeah. Just like Jessie J. What else? Demographic. She's appealing to 18 to 30, right? And for 18 to 30 and her kind of artist, very stereotypically, I mean, if she were a little overweight like Adele, she would have to go a different route. But for her, she's obviously trying to sell sex in some way, and therefore this is appropriate. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. Okay, so you feel more emotionally connected to the feeling that your love's got me in a headlock. Ah, if you treat me like a queen, you'll be the head of the class. Okay. Both are very bossy songs, though, right? No, actually, head of the class is more bossy than headlock. Headlock's just talking about how you make me feel like I need you now. Um, okay, any more supporters for headlock? Ah, choreography, music video. That's a good point. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. Headlock is a lot less about lyrics and a lot more about like those simple hooks. It has this chanty na 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 section too, which is great if nothing else, right? Okay. All right. Any more thoughts? Yeah. Yes, so the arrangement, the kind of sound, and this is where it's more appealing to 18 to 30-year-olds. I personally agree. And this is where it gets tricky because I could make a similar kind of argument for head of the class. I could say head of the class is retro and retro is in. But in my gut, as a producer of top 40 songs, I personally feel too that Headlock is closer to what radio would actually play now, just intuitively. And again, this is something that could potentially shift in 12 months or 6 months even. But as of now, this is what I feel as well. Good observation. Anything else for Headlock? Yeah. Right. So Headlock is more attention grabbing. Yeah. Because it's more schizo, right? There are like it flips very fast. Whereas Head of Class is a very consistent song. Okay. Cool. Anyone else supporting Headlock? Yes, that is a good point. So it showcases her vocal ability. Both songs are vocally very challenging, but there are a lot of very belty, very big moments in Headlock compared to Head of the Class. So yes, if you wanted to showcase her vocal, that would be a good song. Anyone else? No? Okay, congratulations. You guys are all A&Rs. You can go apply for jobs at Warner, Sony, and Universal, all of which, to my knowledge in Singapore, do not have an A&R department at this point. Not sure if they're hiring though. Okay, next. Okay, so now you guys realize what the difficulty is, right? And in fact, in many labels, this is exactly the process that happens. I mean, I was talking to JYP when I was in Korea writing some K-pop, and this is exactly what happens. They sit around a meeting, listening to the short list of songs, and then they give their reasons why they like or do not like a song for a single, and then they all vote. And the song with the highest votes wins. That's exactly what happens in a label. Of course, to support their their beliefs, they will go out there and they will test the song. There are services, for example, on the internet right now where you can get specific demographics to listen to your song. So for example, one of my US clients that's going to release a single on Sony Sony Ultra in the next few months. Thankfully, our single one, the one I wrote. But he was telling me how he was paying, the label will pay, say, a few $100,000 to go out there and target, say, 500 listeners. So a company will bring together 500 listeners to listen to your 3 songs, and these listeners will be whatever you want them to be. So, for example, in this company's case, they picked maybe, out of the 500, they picked 200 Katy Perry fans, aged between 18 and 25, female. And then they picked another 100 from another category, and so on and so forth. So you can really be very surgical in the way you do focus grouping on the internet even these days. And obviously, I mean, nothing beats asking your friends, getting together a representative sample like this room. You could have a listening party and people could tell you what they think. But then again, that would mean that the onus is on you to make sure that your demographic is targeted correctly. You know, don't just get a whole room of people that think the same. That way, then your results will be very skewed. Okay, so just to quickly round up, it's not an exact science, you know. We all have different opinions. And ultimately, you know, there are many labels where the process was followed, a song was voted for, it went out there and it completely tanked, despite the focus grouping, despite their knowledge and the intuition of the team. Sometimes stuff just doesn't work. It's a balancing act and it's difficult. So just to summarize, some of you mentioned ability. Her vocal ability is showcased better by one song versus another. Then again, just because you can do something doesn't mean you must do something. For a good example of what not to do, listen to everything that Christina Aguilera put out between 2002 and 2010. Yeah. That's an example of just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to do it. Okay, at the same time, backstory. Like you guys mentioned, age is very important. Where she is, you know, you don't expect a 15-year-old girl to sing about really raunchy things. But then again, if Mariah came out and suddenly became a student, you'd be like, what the hell? So backstory is very important because the artist has to connect to it firstly. The artist has to connect with the song. And then the audience has to connect with the song being part of the artist's personality. If it's completely unbelievable, then it doesn't work. Okay? And then obviously the audience, which is what we're talking about focus grouping for. What turns this audience on in general, with or without your artist being in the room? Or for this artist, what is the special point of this artist? For Ruby, it is clear that it's his voice, the special characteristics in his voice. But for Gariana Ande, is it also her voice? Or is it her voice and her body? Or is it a voice, her body, and a story? What is it, you know? All of this stuff matters to whether an audience can connect to an artist. So the thing is, we all can sit in this room and debate till the cows come home which single is better and why, but in the end, data is everything. It's everything. And that's why you go out there and you do focus grouping for a target demographic. You spend money, you host listening parties, use these internet focus group services, you do whatever you need to do to be sure that you're making the right decisions.
So a simple way as well is Facebook Insights.
Yeah.
That's a very, very simple way of using social media stats to determine what singles you want to put out.
Cool. Okay, also gathering for existing fans. If you have existing fans of this artist, you could invite them to a special online listening session or something, and then you gather information from them that way. Also, feedback from industry partners is very important because what radio stations are concerned with is playing content that grabs the listener's attention. So if your song is boring, they won't put it on, unless you're huge. So feedback is everything, and it often helps to just go to a DJ and say, hey, look, I have these few songs, what do you guys think? Firstly, they will feel flattered that you asked them, and then that will help them feel more connected to your material, etc. And then at the same time, it also gives you another data point. So data is everything. Next. Okay, so I guess that's it. Any more questions on A&R? 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 No, very good. Is this your segment or my segment? Oh, this is my segment too. Okay, why am I doing so much talking? Okay, so let's talk now about selecting the correct producer or recording studio. Okay? So I would say that as a general rule, producer is a lot more important than recording studio. Hope I'm not angering too many people by that statement. Because in the end, it's not about the gear. At least nowadays with modern technology, it's not as much about the gear anymore, and it's more about the ears. You know, you have a lot of very nice, very hit productions being made in very humble situations, whereas you can have the grandest SSL console in the room and come out with a song that isn't going to be a hit. Okay? So, and these days, more than ever, you're getting technology is getting better and better. You're getting complete pro sound from very small home studios. And remember that in the end, there's always the option to rent. Like, for example, if for some reason you need to record a 60-piece orchestra for the climax of your latest soon-to-be hit, you can always rent a studio that can accommodate a 60-piece orchestra and do your recording there. You don't have to work with the studio that's that big from the start. Okay, so for Troy's Happy Little Pill, this is where we recorded it. This is my studio in LA, my home studio. We do work in nicer studios when we need to, but this is where I do most of my stuff. As you can see, it is a very humble setup. So on top, you can see where the speakers are. And that's basically all the gear I have. I mean, I have like one preamp and a mic, and that's about it. Okay, on the left, you see my co-writer, Brandon Rogers, and then you see Troy on the extreme left doing something. Yeah, I think he was eating in and out. Yeah, so that was the day that the song was recorded, and the vocals from my studio made it all the way to the final recording. Those were demo scratch vocals. And then on the right, you can see what happens when I record. But that's Frankie J, that's not Troy, they look different. But but yeah, back. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Palto already. So, okay, so you can get all the quality you need from a very simple home setup. Next, provided your producer knows what he's doing. This used to be my studio. Some of you may remember if you had come to my house in the past. This used to be my studio. I recorded top 20 song of the year in China for 2011 in this room with Derek. So, yeah, anything's possible. Okay.
I'd just like to add as well that I mixed the Gentle Bones EP in UK on, I think, a small pair of speakers and headphones because I had to move overseas for 3 months. So, at the end of the day, whoever you hire, I think a lot of people try to sell pictures or try to sell like a big studio and everything, but at the end of the day, you should be looking at their track record and the quality of what comes out. That's probably the most important thing.
Yep. Okay, so let's look at how to choose your producer. Obviously, we are very biased here because we are also in the industry. That's what we do for a living. But I tried to make myself as neutral as possible when I did this. I think it's a good combination of talent, chemistry, work ethic, and price. So let's look at each of these things in detail. Next. Okay, talent. We can go on and on, but these are some of the things that I think your producer should be able to do. Okay, at first you look at the technical side. You have, your producer should be able to set up mics or have an engineer set up mics for him. Should be able to do all the buttons, knobs, and plug-in stuff. That is a given. And if someone tells you that they can do that, I wouldn't be too impressed because that is just like fundamental, If someone can't do this though, run away. Okay? So on top of that, this is when you will start getting impressed because this is when you know that your producer is not just someone that is at the bottom of the barrel, but someone that can actually add a lot of value to your project. Okay? So these are skills that I think are important for your producer, if not your producer's team to have. So vocal or instrumental arranging. So by vocal arranging, I mean like being able to hear harmonies, being able to stack vocals, being able to discern when a vocal is quality and a vocal is not. So that takes a lot of time and experience. Same for the instrumental side. Arranging an instrumental that sounds like a hit. Okay. At the same time, we look at the coaching end of things. Your producer should not just know what the sound is, but should be able to direct you to get there. That's where the coaching element comes in. And that has to do not just with how good your producer is on the technical side, but also his people skills, how he communicates with the artist to make the artist feel like they have to give their best, etc. Or playing mind tricks in the studio. Also, genre knowledge and versatility. Now, versatility may not be as crucial if you're looking at someone that is going to do a very one genre kind of thing. For example, producing a rock album for a rock group, or producing just a trap album for a hip hop rapper, or just producing, you get the idea, just one thing. I think genre knowledge is a little more important, like versatility rather, when you're looking at your producer to do a typical pop situation where you have like a few songs and they may have different genres. I think that's when it's really important. Okay, and the last line, since we're talking about hits and not just any song today, is commercial. And this is something that you know, in my experience, some people have and some people don't. It's just one of those things, you know. It's a very intuitive thing, you know. Knowledge and intuition are what makes a hit. At the end of the day, it's a gut feeling. And it's not just a gut feeling that tells you yes or no whether something is a hit or not, but also means that the producer is able to use their resources to help you get toward that sound. But the first step is knowing what that sound is, and that is not trivial. Okay, so being able to know what's a hit and being able to use your resources, your talent, shape it, get other resources in, and make what sounds like a smash. And again, a smash is something that, you know, when you hear it, you know it's a smash, but getting there is the tricky part. Okay, so let's move on to chemistry. Having a shared vision is very important because art in the end is so subjective. You know, you can ask people, 10 people in the room whether they like a song and they give you 10 different answers, whether you like it or not. But you must agree with your producer on most things in the end. It's not that your producer should say yes to everything you are saying because then he would just be a yes man and quite useless. Your producer has to give you enough pushback such that when he doesn't think it's a good idea, he has to be able to tell you why. And in the end, you guys have to agree on enough of this. If your producer gives you pushback and most of the time you don't agree with that pushback, then you should find another producer because that means you guys are not compatible. And one point that Roland asked me to emphasize in this is really talk to your producer. If your producer is someone that you can't even talk to, or you feel scared of, or intimidated by, or for some reason, you know, if every time you talk ends up in a fight, or conversely, every time you talk, he'll just say, okay, okay, whatever makes you happy. You know, all of these are not good signs.
Yeah, I'd just like to add on this as well. I think go meet your producer that you're looking to work with. I think it's important to have a sit down to see whether you share the same visions and share the same conversation, or if you think that they can push you hard enough. But I think most of the artists I've sort of talked to or worked with who maybe have come from other studios or other producers, they actually don't do a lot of research. They just hear, say, from someone or somebody, and then they just make a choice. And often, I think it's surprising how poor some of their results turn out. And when I have a chat with them, they're actually very shocked that I would actually meet up with the artist and have an honest discussion about their craft. Because at the end of the day, if someone like me as well, if I'm not comfortable with the artist, and I wouldn't want to work with them as well. So I think it works both ways. But I think the most important thing, if you're looking to work with someone, just meet them. And if they don't find the time to meet you, then they're probably not the right person. And you should probably go down and check out their setup, who they're working with, what they're working on, and you know, discuss references, discuss artists that you know that you like, that you think that you have an inclination to sound like, which is what we'll go through later on one of our exercises that we get you guys to do.
Okay, and then the last point for chemistry is interpersonal. You know, like, I mean, we're all humans, we all live in the world. Sometimes I just hate you because I hate your face, you know, vice versa. No, I try to like everyone. Just kidding. But, you know, sometimes people just don't get along. That's a fact of life. And it doesn't matter how talented you are or your producer is. If you don't get along, you don't get along. So, you know, find someone that you can get along with. Remember that in the end, creativity only flourishes when you can get past the superficial level and you say what you really mean. Like being able to achieve that relationship means that when you are uncomfortable with something, you can voice what it is that makes you uncomfortable, and your producer can have a respectful and insightful conversation with you about it. If somewhere along the line some of these elements are missing, then your creativity is going to be affected. You're going to feel like, you know, this is not my song anymore because it's just my producer going on his own agenda or her own agenda.
Yeah, I think that's something I would like to share as well, because this is something that I've also gone through as a producer, learning to have that conversation. I think when I was younger as a producer, I'll be very frank to say that it was more about my agenda or making the artist sound a certain way that I thought was best fit. And I think, you know, working with other producers down the road and getting more hits, you sort of realize that it's more important to have that kind of honest conversations and to be able to take feedback very, very well. And I know that a lot of younger artists feel very, very scared or afraid to voice out and open up to whoever they're working with, or even if they get a strong arm. I mean, there's many instances where I've heard that, you know, they've actually gone, I don't like this, and the producer has gone, yeah, that's actually going to sell, and it doesn't. It just sounds actually bad. So I think what's most important is having, you know, meeting the producer that can be honest to you, because you don't want somebody that just goes, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. You want them to push you. At the same time, you guys have to have a shared vision to how you want to be pushed. So that's really, really important in my opinion.
Cool. Yeah, so in essence, creativity only flourishes when you can be relaxed enough to talk and where everyone can trust each other and what they are saying and to be candid, to say what you mean and mean what you say. That's when the best ideas will come up in the room. Okay, work ethic. This is the perennial elephant in the room. Yes, so let's talk about speed of work. So some different people work at different paces, and for me, like going around being a songwriter for hire, I work with a lot of different songwriters in the co-writing kind of situation, and then that's when I started realizing that hey, not everyone works fast, or not everyone likes to work fast, and there is actually nothing wrong with that. I would categorize it into two kinds of categories. Like producers like myself like to zero in on a solution quite fast. That's my style. There's another kind of producer that likes to explore a lot, and that would mean that working with them, you would come up with a draft maybe for 2 or 3 hours, and he'd be like, that's not cool. Let's scrap that. Let's move on to something else. And then we go through this process for days on end until you come up with a song at the end. Now, neither of these approaches is superior or inferior to the other. It's just a different style of working, and you need to be clear where you and your producer are at. If you're the kind of person that likes to explore, and then you work with me, and I make you zero in on something within 5 or 6 hours, then you might come across, and then we might not be able to work together, because then I might come across as trying to strong arm you into something, whereas I am not. That's just my style. Okay. Conversely, if you are someone that likes to get something quick and then just make it and then move on, or just see how we can tweak it the day after, then if you're working with a producer that throws out ideas and abandons them every hour, then you would not get along. Okay. Second thing is delivering on promises, and this is something not just about the music industry. It is a fact that some people deliver and some people don't. And the short answer is just work with those people that do and avoid those people that don't.
Can I just actually quickly ask, how many of you guys are aspiring producers? Quick show of hands. Okay. Huge tip is you have to be very diligent at what you do, and you have to be on time with everything. I can tell you that I've taken a lot of jobs overseas based on that fact alone, where my production skills maybe weren't as good as my competitor, but they were sick of dealing with what I call the bullshit from other producers, aka drinking at 2 p.m. or having a bong at 3 p.m. Those are actually real stories, and I can actually be very frank to say that being on time, delivering, being personable, friendly, and on the ball can get you guys a lot of jobs. So for those people who are looking to be producers, I think no matter how creatively awesome you are or how talented you are, this is the other half of the business aspect that you really need to hone in. Likewise, if you're a recording engineer or arranger, or likewise, even if you're an artist, there's so many talented artists out there, who have a lot of talent, can sing amazing. But if you're constantly late, for sound checks, that's gonna play into factors of you being hired again or you getting paid more. So work ethic is pretty important. So that, like I said, deliver on your promises.
Okay, price. And this is where I found myself thinking, am I being completely neutral? But I think I am. In the end, you get what you pay for. How many of you guys have seen that little graphic on the net where you have cheap, fast, and good? The 3 circles? And the middle is a unicorn. It does not exist. So I would say, as with all things in life, if you look at it, this music is not just to an artist, or if you're an artist, like to yourself, music is not just, something you put out for fun. Music is your everything. Music is your calling card. Music is the reason people come and see you. You are the music. And if the music is terrible, you are terrible. I mean, that's to your audience. You are terrible because your music is terrible. There's no two ways about it. So I would say that always get the best producer you can afford. And it's penny wise, pound foolish to look for your cheapest option, because then you get a shoddy product, or you get all kinds of issues dealing with the person, and then the person basically uses your money to figure it out. And if you're fine with that, that's okay. If you're just working like as a fellow student with a fellow student and you're both trying to figure out the ropes, that's fine. But if you're looking for a product that is going to be quality off the bat and that's going to get you results, then you are going to be very frustrated if your producer spends too much time trying to figure things out. Next. Okay, so in short, these are also Roland's points. Research, research, research. Really do your homework, talk to people. Don't be afraid to ask hard questions. If they can't give you the correct answers, move on. And track record is a very important thing. Not just in terms of results. I mean, everyone can tell you how many hits they have, blah, blah, blah. But the other part of a track record is talking to other people that have worked with your producer before and figuring out where they stand. Roland, anything to add? Okay. Okay, so going on to choosing a recording studio, we've already established that the studio is secondary. So it's basically it's wherever your producer is comfortable working. And if your producer is legit, they will know which studios they like to use for certain things, or whether you can do most things at the home studio, whatever. Okay? The special circumstances, like if you need to track a huge group, or if you need a special acoustic space for a very specific thing, like drums or certain instruments, and you can always rent by the hour. Don't feel like to have quality you need to book the most expensive studio off the bat on an hourly rate. Next. Okay.
Sorry, before that, I just have to add in a few more
it.
things. So for my last project, I recorded at 3 locations. One was a studio specifically ready for drums. One was a space that was good for string arrangements and for string ensemble to record. And the rest of the project for the guitars, drums, and bass, we actually DI'd everything, and we, everything was recorded through campus, through direct boxes. So the key thing is, the right producer, or if you guys are self-producing yourselves, you have to research the recording studio space pretty well as well. So that's something to take note. Okay, we'll wait for Ruby to come up soon.
Okay, also on the question of quality, right? Everything you heard just now, remember Gariana Ande's 2 potential singles? They were all recorded on this laptop you see here and this interface. Everything was done in the box or, with vocal recordings from that. So that's all. The Headlock I actually did in very non-ideal circumstances because I was in Seoul on a writing camp working with some of the SM writers, and that was the kind of setup we got. So I didn't know the speakers, I had my headphones, and we just made do. So that's a very good argument for ears over gear. If you have the right pair of ears, you'll figure out how to make things work. Okay, so we are just waiting for Ruby now. Any questions in the meantime? Since we are kind of at the halfway point of the seminar already. Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned about half covers or covers in general, but what are the kind of copyright laws that are related to
Sample songs. So like if you want to be a little sneaky and use a sample from a well-known song in order to make your single more recognizable, then you have to get what is called a derivative license, which means you have to get permission from all the writers of the original song to agree to do that through their labels or their publishers or whatever. Yeah. So that takes a lot of time and effort. So that's the downside of doing that.
Okay, so as Ruby sets up, I'd just like to give a short introduction of him. So Ruby's management approached me about his album when he was 17, went through, I think, 10 to 12 songs, and, we actually worked through very, very diligently on finding the right songs for him and getting the best vocal performance. I will say that some of the songs we took more than 3 days of vocals, and that's kind of the standard sometimes you need to achieve to slowly nurture the great vocals out from someone. So sometimes you just have to spend more on certain elements, and sometimes you can spend less on certain elements depending on what kind of artist you're about. So the rule is you have to work on your biggest strength, and you have to make sure that those are the most polished elements. So if vocals are the most important thing, those are the things you focus on.